Hello, 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 hello. This is Father Adam coming live to you from Las Vegas. From Las Vegas. Beautiful and wonderful and sunny Las Vegas. Right here from Divine Mercy Church in Las Vegas. 3844 Meadows Lane in Las Vegas. Divine Mercy Church. I celebrate Mass in English every single Sunday right here at Divine Mercy Church at 11:30 a.m. and everybody is welcome. I have my grandmother visiting here from Poland. She traveled more than 24 hours on a few different airplanes to be here, especially to visit me and to be here for the festivities of Our Lady of Guadalupe on the 10th, 11th, and 12th of December. But as often happens, because of her age, she's getting close to 90 years old right now. My grandmother was born before the Second World War. She survived Hitler, which of course makes her a survivor of the Holocaust, particularly because during the Second World War, my grandmother's family experienced a visit from the Nazis. She tells the story when the Nazis knocked on their door when her father died, and it was just her and her mother and her sisters that were left, and they asked them to prove that they are not Jewish. Well, of course, there wasn't a male in the house. If there would be a male, then he could take his pants down and prove, since Polish men, by and large, were not circumcised, that they were not Jewish. But since there was no male, the Nazis asked that they furnish papers proving that they are Polish and not Jewish. And since the municipal building burned down, the church was bombed and burned down, they couldn't prove that they were not Jewish, that they were Polish. So the Nazi says, you have 30 days to prove to us that you are not Jewish. And if you do not furnish us with papers proving that you are Polish and not Jewish, get ready, because you're going to Auschwitz. And everybody, my grandmother says, knew that the only way out of Auschwitz was through the chimney. Can you imagine those 30 days? But on day 29, my grandmother says, the Soviets entered Poland in January of 1945. The Second World War ended, and my grandmother was saved. Because God has a plan. As God has a plan in my grandmother's life, God has a plan for you and for your life. And God has a plan for my life. What we need to do is trust. Jesus, I trust in you. Our life of faith is not about belief. Our life of faith is about trust. Anybody can believe in God. What do you want? A cookie because you believe in God? What does that do for you? Even the devil believes in God. The devil doesn't trust God. We have to trust God, that God is with us and for us. And if God is for us and with us, no one can be against us, and we can beat anything. My grandmother said to me yesterday, as we were in the emergency room all day yesterday, she says, look, I beat Hitler. I survived the Holocaust. I avoided the gas chambers at Auschwitz, the infamous concentration camp, which the Nazis set up in Poland. I avoided that, and I survived the Second World War. You don't think I'm going to survive this? And she will, and she's getting better. Yesterday was an absolutely awful experience, a nightmarish experience for me and for my grandmother with the American healthcare system here in the great United States of America, where I am proud to live. I am very proud to be an American. I love the United States of America. But our healthcare system leaves a lot to be desired. I took her in the early morning to the emergency room, and we were there all day. First, it's a nightmarish experience to be checked in. They make you wait and wait and wait and wait. Of course, that's okay. You have to go through that. But all day, we spent all day. They wanted to admit her to the hospital, and against medical advice, I took her out of the hospital because she didn't want to stay, first of all. And second of all they were doing was running tests and tests and tests and tests all day with no food, no water. In order to give my grandmother water, I went to the restroom and got her water from the restroom. In a very uncomfortable position. I asked many times. I said, she has a very hard time breathing. She's very uncomfortable here. Can you get her a pillow? Can you get her this? Can you get her that? Very busy. They're very busy. Overwhelmed. It's an overwhelmed system. And I'm very disappointed in this experience. All day, no food, no water. All they did was do tests and tests and tests. And she was dehydrated, which is why I took her to the emergency room. And she needed fluids. Thank God they gave her IVs. But there was no bed available for her. And she was extremely uncomfortable. And so I decided to take her home. And so she's home. And upon taking her home, I was told that I cannot get any medicine for her because I'm taking her home. Against their advice, they will not give me any medicine. So they sent me home with no medicine. Thank God I have contacts with people, so I'm able to get medicine for her. Just a very nightmarish experience for somebody who has survived the Second World War, who has survived Hitler, and comes to the United States and has this experience. I'm very sad about this. It makes me very sad that this is the state of our for-profit healthcare system, where it's all about money, money, money. All they wanted to do was run tests and tests and tests and tests. She was vomiting. She had diarrhea, and so they wanted to do a colonoscopy on her. I looked at him and I said, first, let's do a colonoscopy on you. Just because she's vomiting, I'm not going to let her have a colonoscopy and put her out. Tests and tests and tests. And wait. And more waiting and more waiting. And when I asked, I said, what about food? So finally at about 8 p.m., I went out and I said, I thought you were going to get her some food. And I was told, well, we forgot to order it. The doctor forgot to put the order in for her food. And I said, okay, that's it. I've had it. Goodbye. She didn't want to be there. She was very uncomfortable. We were in the ER all day. And at her age, a very uncomfortable situation. In a hospital in the United States. Makes me very sad. And it seems like an overwhelmed healthcare industry. that is not geared toward caring for people, but is geared toward making money. Makes me very sad. You know, I have a different experience of the healthcare system in Mexico. If I was to get sick, I'd go to Mexico. In Mexico, next to every single pharmacy, there's a doctor you can see. For free. You can give him a tip if you'd like. Over here in the United States, to see a doctor, it takes an act of Congress. We don't have enough doctors. How many places? I lived in rural California, in Lake County, California. There's no doctors. Only physician's assistants or nurse practitioners, and thank God that there are the physician's assistants and nurse practitioners. People don't have access to doctors in the United States of America. How come we won't go out and get doctors from other countries? Because of the bureaucracy. And people are dying as a result from a lack of health care. In the United States of America, the richest country in the world. Shame on us. Shame on the United States of America. Shame. Shame. And obviously the problem is that our politicians from both political parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party in the United States, are bought by the pharmaceutical industry with their campaign contributions and with the for-profit healthcare system. They're bought, so we can't get any reforms. And then the doctors are overwhelmed with paying for malpractice insurance because the lawyers are getting richer and richer, suing. And we won't have any reforms. Meanwhile, people are dying. I saw this overwhelmed emergency room and people just sitting there in these recliners all day waiting for a bed with no food, no water given to them. And these medical personnel overwhelmed. There's not enough doctors. And then testing. Lots of tests. Let's test everybody. Let's test the hell out of people. So we can run up the bills. Run up the bills, no matter what kind of test. I mean, you know, the only test they forgot to do on my grandmother yesterday was the pregnancy test. That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for them to ask to test her for pregnancy. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at her and to see what's going on. She's dehydrated. Get her some fluids and get her comfortable. And get her some medicine. That's why I decided to take her out. I said, no, she's uncomfortable. She's not getting any help here. I'll help her more at home. Rather than spending time just waiting. And I mean, the amount of times that I left the cubicle where we were at, trying to get people's attention, trying to say, you know, could I... It was just an unreal experience. Why is it that I have such a good experience with the healthcare system in Mexico? My father right now and my stepmother, they're getting excellent care in Mexico. My father for his prostate issues, my stepmother for her knees. And they have Medicare in the United States. What is it good for? Something for all of us to reflect upon. We need doctors in the United States. And there are doctors out there in other countries that are willing to come here. If they're doctors, if they're licensed doctors in other countries, why can't we get them here? They're doctors. We need doctors. It's almost impossible to get an appointment here with a doctor. You have to wait months sometimes, especially for a specialist. What's going on? This is the United States, the richest country in the world, with one of the worst healthcare systems. And I've been to many countries. I'm from Poland. I've lived in Mexico. And I'm telling you, it's shameful that Mexico has a better healthcare system than the United States. If you need healthcare, you'll get it way better in Mexico than you will here. Dental care, if I need dental care, I'm not going to go get it here. You kidding? I can't afford it. I have to go to Mexico. That is the reality. Shame on us. Just unreal. We need good health care. We need reform. Reform of our healthcare system to be a for-care system, to care for people. What do you all think of what I'm saying? Come on, comment, and you should share this video. I'm telling you, we were there all day yesterday. My sick grandmother, who's almost 90 years old, and all she wanted to do was to get out of there. And she wanted me to take her to the hospital because she couldn't breathe. But all she wanted was to just leave. She says, they're going to kill me here. Because she was so uncomfortable. Just an unreal experience. When you're sick, you need to be taken care of and have good care. And to be made comfortable. There was nothing even to cover her with. No food. I had to go to the bathroom to get her water from the bathroom. And all there was I kept asking, well, we have to test. We have to test. More tests. More tests. You just have to test. Finally, I said, that's it. And then they let me take her home with no medicine. They would not give us any medicine, nothing. I was told, because you're taking her home against our advice, we won't give you any medicine. So I left without any medicine. I had to get it, on the side through my contacts. That is the reality. And like my grandmother, there was hundreds of people there like that. Just sitting there. Some of them in recliners, some of them in chairs. Very sick people. Being tested. Let's test away. All sorts of stuff. My grandmother had everything. A CAT scan, a chest scan. Finally, I said, when they said they wanted to do a colonoscopy on her, I had it. I said, let's do a colonoscopy on you. See how you like it. Well, she's vomiting. People vomit when they're sick. She's got diarrhea. People have diarrhea. That doesn't mean you need a colonoscopy. But of course, a colonoscopy costs a lot of money. So hike up the bill. Let's drive up the... That is the reality. And we need doctors. People are dying in the United States because we don't have doctors. And there are doctors available who can come here from other countries. And they speak English. And if they're licensed to practice medicine in other countries, their training is just as good. Just because somebody's trained in the United States doesn't mean they're better trained than a doctor in Mexico or in another country. Why is it that in Mexico, If you need to go see a doctor, you go next to the pharmacy and they have a doctor available there. For free. For free. In Mexico. This is the United States. The richest country in the world. And if you need to see a doctor, it's like an act of Congress here. Makes me very sad. What do you all think of that? Comment. 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 What do you all think of what I'm saying? I'm waiting for all of your comments, and you should be sharing this video so that people see. So that was, my grandmother's doing very well, thank God. I'm getting her lots and lots of fluids because she's dehydrated. So she needs fluids, and she's doing well, thank God, and she'll be just fine. And there was no way that I was going to leave her in that hospital. No way. No way. And I'm telling you, what do you all think of that? I mean, if in Mexico you have you get sick, you go to any pharmacy and next door there's a doctor, and you go see the doctor and they check you out, and then if you need to go somewhere else, they'll refer you. But in the United States, what do you think of that? We need reforms, and we need doctors. And obviously, you know, I mean, the doctors yesterday, they're so overwhelmed. There's so many people. They're understaffed, overwhelmed, and just let's order a bunch of tests and, you know, let's just order tests. Let's test away. So I wanted to share that with you, my frustration with the American healthcare system. I pray that we get reforms. I'm skeptical that it will happen, of course. As I told you, I know the reason why, because our politicians are bought by the pharmaceutical industry and by the for-profit healthcare system, and you know, with the campaign contributions. So that's why there's no reforms. May God bless you all. And my grandmother's doing okay. She's getting better. So God bless everybody. This is Father Adam in Las Vegas.